Hello everyone, Cutting Tool Designer here. Welcome to part 4 of the renovation and restoration of the South Bend 10 Heavy lathe. This episode we're going to do a little bit of stripping and some derusting. Products that we're going to use are some Easy Off Heavy Duty Oven and Grill Cleaner. This is the one that Greg Halligan, Halligan 142, has recommended using for certain things. We're also going to do some larger parts with some citrus strip, and that's going to take probably a day to work in, so we'll go ahead and do that and then come back tomorrow and see how easy it is to strip the paint off. And then for derusting, we're going to use some Evapo-Rust. And we'll try that out, and that'll probably take a day also. So we'll go ahead and put some items in a container, and I'm just going to start with throwing some things in an old coffee can. Don't throw these away. These are actually good for a lot of stuff like that. Okay, so I got a lot of parts here from the lathe, tearing down of the tailstock and the thread dial. So we're going to work on some of those projects. Here's the thread protector. Now it's not in bad shape. It does have a lot of surface rust, and not so much on the outside, but on the inside there's a lot of rust, even down into the thread. So I definitely want to get that cleaned up. And the easiest way, hopefully, will be to just use the Evapo-Rust for that. Then here's the collet adapter. It doesn't have a lot of surface rust on it. On the back face is the most, but that doesn't come into contact with anything. But I like to get it in there and get it cleaned up. So we'll put that in here. We'll put in all the nuts and bolts to the feed screw for the tailstock, and all the other pieces that are surface rusted, including the gear and the dial and anything else small like that we currently have that has some rust on it. So we'll do that last before we break for a day. So right now I'm going to bring you in and take a look at, I haven't done the citrus strip yet, but I've been playing around a little bit with the Easy Off. So let me show you what I've done so far. Be right back. Okay. Now what I did here, there's a little bit of paint on one of these plates for the end of the tailstock for holding the wicks on. This one still has a little bit of paint on it. And I also did a little bit on the hand wheel. This is what it looks like afterwards. Still a little bit of paint here and there, not too bad. You basically have to kind of let it sit for a while. For about 10-15 minutes. Now we're going to go ahead and do this side too, real quick. You see there's not a lot of paint left on there. This is the way it came off the machine. The other side was about the same way, and after a couple of applications, as you can see, it come off pretty good. Then again, the thing with the Easy Off is really you should be wearing gloves, but I've been very, very careful here. Because you don't want to get this on your skin because it'll burn you. You really should be in a ventilated area. Right now I don't have any ventilation going, but I'm using this very sparingly, and it doesn't really have too much of a smell. So seems to work pretty good. So what we'll do is we'll take the hand wheel, shake this up real good, and then we're just going to give it a real light coating. Okay, we'll do the same for this piece. Just enough to cover it. We'll set that one aside, and then we'll put a little bit on here. Okay. And I got this little stainless steel brush, and I'm just kind of working it on the surface like this to make sure it's got coverage. Okay, and we'll let that work in for a little bit, and we'll be right back. Alright, we're back. It's been probably about 10 minutes. this piece here we'll start with, and I'm just going to take a rag first to wipe most of it off. And that one looks pretty stubborn, but it's coming off a little bit, and then check it with the wire brush. Okay, so that one's going to need a little bit more work. It was a lot thicker on there. So we'll spray that again, set that off to the side. Now if we look at the hand wheel here, your first thing you want to do is kind of just wipe down. And if you can see, the color has changed a little bit, and this gets most of it off. And then if I take a brush, I can start getting some of it off. Get down in there. So there's it's not just like put it on and wipe it off, but it does do it. Doesn't take as long as waiting for some other strippers. If I wipe it some more, getting the first layer off basically, and you can see there's still a bit of paint right there hanging on. Might come off with the brush, might not. But I mean, it's only been 10 minutes, and what we'll do is we'll spray this again like that other piece, and here's that piece here. Kind of rub the C, and let's see if the brush takes anything off. Yeah, it's taking some of it off, so I'm going to put another coat on, but you can see where it's cleaned the other area pretty good, so pretty raw for a casting. Now I'm not going to worry about the inside here or here on this piece because I'm going to repaint them, but they won't be seen once the machine's put back together again. So we'll put a little bit more on here, and I'm going to put any more on than I have to get coverage, because I don't want to get it all over the place, and I certainly don't want to get it all over my fingers and everything. So what we'll do is we'll do this one more time. Get that piece sprayed, and we'll do this one more time. Okay. Be back in just probably another 10 minutes. Okay, we're back. I put a little bit more on this one. I brushed it down a little bit, and the other piece, hand wheel, is probably getting pretty close. I'm just going to run the brush on it again here, just using the tip of it real quick, kind of loosen up what may still be on here, and we'll see what we get after that, and we'll check the other two pieces. So let's get in here and kind of wipe this off. Let's see what we have. And I mean, for quick and down and dirty, gets the job done. I don't know if I want to do a whole lot of parts this way, but the smaller stuff probably that we work on as we go through here probably makes sense to maybe do this, unless we have other things to do and we don't mind waiting for the other stripper. But this stuff also, if there's any grease on the part, it takes the grease off too, because it is a degreaser. And I'm just going in here and see what else will come off. We were talking about a rough casting, so it's kind of hard to get down into all the little gritty areas of the sand casting surface. But then you can see there's a little bit of paint here and there. That's kind of still stuck on there, and I can probably go ahead and do another coat if I wanted to try and see if I can get some more of this off. But for the most part, if it's down to the casting level and it's stuck down in there and it's pretty smooth, probably won't even show up after you paint it again. So I don't know if it's worth going after another layer just to get that little bit off or not. You can keep playing with a wire brush on it if you want, but you know, not too shabby here for this handle. Basically, of course it's really rusted, so it's going to go in the deruster, but most of the paint's off. A few areas to kind of finish drying off, and but other than that, for, you know, real quickie, we spent about 20 minutes, and basically this is ready for derusting and or painting, but we'll derust it first because we're going to try and at least, you know, shine up the hand a little bit. Hopefully we won't have to do anything in the way of heavy filing or whatever, just some light sanding and then maybe polishing, and we'll be good to go on that. So let's look at this guard now, rubbing it again with the brush, and while it's still kind of liquid on there, looks like a lot of it's coming off, you can tell by the color. And let's wipe it off and see. Yeah, it still has some on there. That's pretty stubborn stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and continue on that one because I want to put this in the deruster. So I'll get the rest of that off. The first one I did took a few tries too. And then as to this piece over here, let's just see how this looks now. And we'll gently use the brush on it. See if we can get any loose off of here yet. And sometimes you can continue to use the brush after you've wiped it off because it kind of like turns it into a powder almost. So we'll go ahead and wipe this off. See a little bit still hanging in there. And let's see what the brush does now. And you can see I got a little bit still left on the brush of the Easy Off. And you can continue to work at it. And I have a feeling we'll probably end up the same way with the other stripper, but you know, again, this is a casting, so as long as they're, you know, not big globs and areas that won't look good if you paint over it because it won't blend very well. Not too shabby. Yeah, still a little bit on there. Like I said, the other side come out pretty good. Pretty much got all of it off. The last little bit come off with the wire brush. So I'll continue on with that. Anyways, we'll finish that up, and then the next step we're going to do here is we're going to do some of the citrus strip. I'm going to go ahead and put that on the thread dial. I also have the compound. It's a fairly large piece, and then the cross slide. We're going to use it on the cross slide too. There's not a whole lot of paint left on this, but we're going to do it that way. So we'll get set up with that and be back in a minute. Okay, we're back. We're going to work on this citrus strip, and then we'll move on to the Evapo-Rust. So again, this is a citrus strip safe paint and varnish remover. This is the one Brad Jacob uses a lot from BasementShopGuy, Maple Lane Machine Shop. And what I'm going to do too, I think, is I'll put a link to both Greg's and Brad's channels in the description below. They both are currently working on restoring south bends. They have both restored south bends in the past. Brad's restored several of them. He's on his fourth one now. The other ones he had sold. He now currently has a South Bend 10K, and I believe Greg has a 13-inch South Bend. Okay, so with the citrus strip, it's basically you brush it on. We are going to put them in freezer bags. That holds everything in, and you don't get as much degassing. And other people have done that and seem to have gotten better, quicker results out of it. But we're going to wait a full day. And the other thing you want to do is go out and get yourself some cheap chip brushers. And we're going to start with this handle for the tailstock. So Basically, this is just real thick stuff. I'm just going to kind of bring it out and brush it on liberally. There wasn't much paint left in this handle. I probably could have done it the other way with the other stuff, but you know, I'm just going to see how it works. So, just clunk it on. Probably should have brought a bag over here. I have one ready to go. But you want to make sure you have good overall coverage. Everything is covered. Boom, 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 boom. Almost like painting. So I'll set that like that. Get a little bit more out here. Get it on the end. Doesn't matter if it falls off because I'm going to put it on that piece next anyways. Okay. Not sure how much to put on. We're going to do just enough to coat, I think. And then I'm going to put it in a bag. And we will check on this tomorrow. Okay, so that's that one. Grab a bag. Probably didn't need such a big bag, but I just went ahead and bought a big container of them at the dollar store. Put this in this bag. Probably could put more than one in here, but that's what we're going to do for now. So we're just going to take some of the air out. It's coated, and then we'll let that sit overnight and check on it tomorrow. Grab another bag. In this case, I also have the shaft here that I can kind of hold on to. So we'll just dump some of this out onto the thread dial and just get it brushed on. These are all going to go in degreasing after the stripping anyways, so I'm not really too concerned about it getting into anything. We'll pour some over this side. And get this coated up also. Get everything covered. And probably need to put a little bit more on. To get the top piece. Let's put a little dab down there. Cover the edge, cover the top. And make sure it's all over everything. Inside and out. Okay, and again, just making sure it's covered. Slide it into a bag. Get it sealed up. Get some of the air out. Okay, so there's that piece. We should be able to use these bags over. Grab another one. And let's start with the cross slide. Again, we'll just put it all over. If it gets into stuff, it isn't going to hurt anything. It's going to get washed off when we're done. Don't need any on the bottom. Put a little bit on the top, even though there's not much paint there anymore. Okay. Anywhere I see some paint on the edges. And I'm going to need a little dab more. Probably wouldn't be bad to actually pour some of this out and put it into a container. That way I don't have to keep meddling with trying to pour it out and hold on to the part at the same time. Okay, so that's this piece. Don't have any paint on the end because that's where the cover goes on to. This end's got it on. Slide that into a bag. Put this as a little citrusy smell to it. It smells kind of like, I'm going to say orange. And here's the bottom of the compound. It really only has paint around this edge, so I'll probably just use the Easy Off on that. Now, grab another bag for the compound itself. Start on the side. I think I'll leave that set screw in there, ain't gonna hurt anything. And pour some on here. Again, there's not much on the end of it. It's pretty well beat up down there. We'll get some on there. And pour some on the top. Like so. Get it spread out all around the end. And we'll do the side. And here. Just make sure that it's got coverage all over it. Get across the end. Take some of this off the side of the container. Okay, that looks like that for that one. Just slid into the bag. Now, of course, you're not going to be able to do this on large parts like the lathe bed itself, or probably the apron, or the saddle, or the headstock. Definitely not the base or the stand. And of course we'll set this one aside till tomorrow. Okay. Well, we'll let's get the lid back on this. This is safe. You can handle it. Get it on your skin. It doesn't hurt anything. Just that over time it takes paint off. So we'll come back tomorrow and pull open some of those bags and check them out. Set that aside. Next thing we're going to do is set up this container for the Evapo-Rust and throw some stuff in. Excuse me. And that way tomorrow we can come back and see how they turned out. So I'll be back in a second. Okay. We're back with the Evapo-Rust, and I got, I think about 2 gallons of this for now. So clean out the container, and we're just going to fill this up a little ways first. And it comes out, and get you in the front. Kind of a antifreeze looking color. So what we're going to do is, we're just basically going to put stuff inside. Now what you want to do is make sure that whatever you put in there is completely immersed with the Evapo-Rust. Anything that sticks out will probably have a line across it. So I'm just throwing in as much in here as I can. All the bolts and everything. And the screws and the nuts, the gears, the plates that we took off from the tailstock and the thread dial. The other thing too is this T-handle that I had with the 4-jaw chuck. This is definitely probably a shop built, probably by a teenager. A little flat is ground on there, and a set of screws used to hold it in place. So no biggie, but lots of surface rust. Throw that in there. See how that ends up. And I think I got some other stuff from the cross slide over here. Some more bolts and nuts, and we'll throw all that in there. put in the Gibbs, lay that in there. Now, gotta make sure I bring this up high enough to cover everything. Okay, so that looks good, and let's go ahead and throw this wheel in, hand wheel in, put it in upside down, like that. Maybe top it off just a little bit more. Okay, so let me bring you in here, put you over top, so you can see how this thing looks. So you can see we got everything in there, and everything is covered. And you can reuse this stuff once you've already run this through, up to a few times, I think. The more you rust strip, the weaker it gets, but you can use it more than once. So we will set that in there, and put this lid on just so the crap doesn't get in. Close this up until tomorrow. So come back in 24 hours and see where it's at. Okay, be back at you. Okay, well, it's not tomorrow yet, but I went ahead and I sprayed the compound base with the Easy Off, and I just let it set for, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes, and other than a couple little minor spots, I come out here with a rag and just basically wipe the paint right off of it. So that's the surface underneath the paint. You can see little spots here and there, but that worked pretty good. So might reconsider how much I use that in different things. But yeah, just have to let it sit long enough. So probably 30-40 minutes I'd recommend just spraying it on, and then probably wipe most of the paint off. Okay, so this video is running a little long, so I decided to save the results for episode 5 of the citrus strip and the Evapo-Rust results. So that'll be in episode 5. We'll do a review on that, and if you like what you see, want to keep following along, please subscribe. Really appreciate that. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. Always appreciated. If you have any questions, please leave comments. So, till the next time, take care.